We are on every day, 1 until 4. After 4 o'clock, the podcast is released. And today, hour number 1, we talked a lot about not only Dana Williamson, Newsom's chief of staff, who got hauled off in handcuffs yesterday, but why is the FBI interested in investigating Gavin Newsom? And we had Katie Grimes on from California Globe, and she had some fascinating ideas about what they may have been and may still be looking for in that Newsom investigation. And by the way, he's hiding in the Amazon still. He's actually hiding in the Amazon rainforest while his former chief of staff was dragged out and arrested by the FBI. You notice he hasn't said anything? I think he's up to his neck in all this. And so he's walking around in the rainforest talking to the indigenous people. Or maybe he's talking to himself. It's crazy. Now, I told you there's a whole lot of investigations going on. And I don't even know if I have time to go through them all right now, but let me start. First of all, we officially, in Los Angeles, have a new fire chief, Jaime Moore. He was confirmed by the LA City Council. And the first thing that he has to deal with is, well, why did the firefighters abandon the hotspot after the January 1st blaze? Why did the battalion chief, Mario Garcia, order them to roll up the hoses and go when you still had the hot rocks, the tree stumps were smoldering, the ground was smoking? Nothing's been explained. Why did he do that? Was it because they didn't want to pay the overtime? Yeah, that was smart. That was a good investment. And then, secondly, there was another battalion chief who got word of this and didn't tell anybody. Or if he told somebody, then the third and the fourth person, they all agreed to cover up the news. We didn't find this out until the past week. How many people in the LA Fire Department knew that the firefighters were told to go home and not attend to the hotspot after the January 1st fire? Well, so he answered that question. Well, excuse me, transparency and accountability are vital to ensure that we learn from every incident. Oh, shut up. Stop with your transparency and accountability. He knows the story. Now he's calling for an outside investigation. We don't need an outside investigation. You know, after the fire happened, everybody had these questions, and they said, well, wait till the after-action report, right? How many times did Bass say, wait till the after-action report? The after-action report had nothing in about the hotspot being abandoned. The after-action report was worthless. It was a dodge. It was part of the cover-up because it gave a talking point to the interim fire chief, Villanueva, and it also gave a talking point to Bass to just keep dodging and hiding and bobbing and weaving. There was no after-action report that was of any use. So now we found out the truth through leaked text messages to the LA Times. And are going to have an outside investigation. You know, Jaime Moore, knock it off already. You've only been serving for a few hours and already you're spewing this nonsense. You know what happened. You don't need an investigation. Why don't you get Mario Garcia, drag him somewhere? How about let's have another committee hearing with the two Republican senators? Let's go to Rick Scott and Ron Johnson. I bet you they'd fly back to California and have Mario Garcia sitting there explaining why, as battalion chief, he told all the guys to go home and not put out the hotspot. Why? And then find whoever else knew about it, the other battalion chief, and find out why he didn't make that public. You don't need another investigation. These investigations are nonsense. They're garbage. Oh, and spare me the transparency and accountability routine. Nobody's buying it anymore, okay? I mean, really. You're running the fire department for like 3 hours and already you're shoveling the same poop that the last two did? LA County is opening an investigation into State Farm's handling of wildfire claims. Great. That's after 10 months. They want all this data and these documents to see if the unfair competition law has been violated. And this could be penalties, $2,500 per day per violation. I don't know. I know plenty of people just in my own circle of friends and acquaintances who've been screwed over by the insurance companies that are not getting paid or not getting paid on time or not getting paid enough. And they're going after State Farm. And let's see, the leader of this investigation is Assistant County Counsel Scott Kuhn. We want State Farm to take care of its customers as soon as possible. Time is of the essence. Fat chance. If time is of the essence, where have you been the last 10 months? Here's another investigation. David Carter, who's the district judge who's been investigating the massive Karen Bass homeless fraud story. Well, a South LA shelter has to report to the court how many beds they have because Bass is supposed to provide a certain number of beds. This homeless provider has a $2.3 million contract, $2.3 million of your money. Urban Alchemy Safe Sleep Village. Got that? $2.3 million. Supposed to provide 88 beds. But the judge sent somebody over to count the beds. There's not 88. There's 44. The other 44 were bare platforms. In fact, the shelter itself is just gray tents on wooden platforms over 2 parking lots. Half of them have no beds or whatever the hell they're sleeping on. Judge Carter, during a court hearing this week, said he sensed fraud. You think so? Nothing gets by him. And then he criticized the city for their lack of curiosity. Is the city's position when we find obvious fraud and the documents don't match that you don't report this to the court? Urban Alchemy says they took the tents away after being told budget cuts were coming. The city administrative officer for Karen Bass, Matt Szabo, did not respond to an email asking for an explanation. Well, here's the explanation. They lied. They lied to the judge. They said, yeah, we got $2 million. And by the way, shouldn't $2 million cover 88 beds and 88 tents? What are these all made of silk? This is crazy. Even after they get investigated, even after they have a judge who has appointed a special master to actually go over to the homeless shelter site and count the beds, count the tents, see if there's anything inside the tents, they still pull the fraud. The money still disappears. Karen Bass and all the fraudulent bureaucrats who work under here cannot be stopped. The money disappears. The nonprofits get their millions of dollars, and the tents are empty. There's just a platform inside. No bed, rather. One more quick investigation. Eric Swalwell, Democrat in California. He was one of the leaders of the impeachment against Trump. He's been hit with a federal criminal referral for mortgage and tax fraud for a home he bought in Washington, D.C. that he claimed was his primary residence. It's not. You remember this guy? This guy was sleeping with a Chinese spy called Fang Fang. Fang Fang, also known as Christine Fang, was a Chinese spy. She came as a college student and spent 4 years wooing and sleeping with state and federal lawmakers, trying to get sensitive government intelligence and sending it back to China. And one of the people she targeted, because he was on the House Intelligence Committee, was Eric Swalwell. And he's still serving in Congress. And now they're investigating him for mortgage fraud. What was that, 5 investigations? Did 5 investigations there, less than 10 minutes.